Thanks for returning for part 2 on Tim Burton's Batman. Let's dive back into the conversation on this epic superhero adventure.
A lot of backstory to this movie, Mike, but we're ready to get into the categories. Mike, I gotta say, rewatching this movie, you talked about the thing that stood out to you was the production design, which is definitely true. It is breathtaking. But for me on rewatch, what really stood out to me was the pacing of this movie. It is 2 hours and 6 minutes long, and it moves faster than the Batmobile on the Autobahn. It was absolutely flying along. Every scene leads into another scene. There's no wasted time. There's no padding. It's extremely lean and efficient, but it also kind of blurs the line between action and not action. I was actually somewhat difficult to there's 4 really clear action scenes, I would say. Yeah, there was less action than I expected. And honestly, I think some of the best parts of the movie are not necessarily the action scenes. It's just the overall thing. But the pacing on this movie, I thought, was really, really great and just high octane, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think towards about hour 45, I was like, all right, I'm ready for this to be wrapped up right now. That's about the moment where we start to get into the whole cathedral church sequence, which I felt like could have been snipped up, and we can go into that a little later. But yeah, for the most part, it moves really well all the way through from start to finish.
So our first category, best action scene. First option, the accident at Axis Chemicals. This is the scene where Batman rushes to Axis Chemicals because Jack Napier has been set up by Carl Grissom. We've been set up, boys. And the cops show up led by the corrupt police officer, Lieutenant Eckhart. And
William Hootkins.
My guy, William Hootkins.
We talked about a couple episodes ago.
We'll be talking about it more later. Don't worry. Yeah, this is a good scene. I mean, it's a good kind of introduction to the way that the wider world is going to react to Batman. I love when Commissioner Gordon looks up and sees Batman and is like, oh my God. Just absolutely blown away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that this rumored bat figure that the annoying media and Knox has been writing about is actually real. It's a good scene.
I will say I was a little taken off guard by the fact that it's called Axis Chemicals and not Ace Chemicals, as per the comics. I don't know why they changed the name of the location where Jack Napier becomes the Joker. I didn't see the need for it. You've got Gotham City, you've got Wayne Manor, you've got Wayne Enterprises, et cetera, et cetera. Why not keep the name of this location as you have done all the other locations?
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is that Ace playing cards is a copyrighted and trademark term, and they felt like with the Joker playing card thing, maybe they just wanted to avoid it. I personally like Axis Chemicals better than Ace Chemicals, so I'll go with that, but interesting point. Next action scene, museum melee into the Batmobile escape. We're going to kind of combine these two into one giant scene. The first half, we've alluded to Jack Nicholson and as the Joker coming into the art museum. First off, I love the shot of all the people starting to pass out, and Vicky's like, what's going on? And she gets that box, and it's got the gas mask on it, puts it on, and Joker and his henchmen come in, trashing the art, just no respect for any of the classics. Prince's Party Man just blaring over the speakers. I freaking love this scene, Mike. I love it so much. I love Nicholson. So we've discussed he got paid out the wazoo for this. This is not a money grab, right? Well, that was one of my biggest issues with Superman. It seemed like Brando was just phoning it in. Christopher Reeve even talked about that, just how he was so disappointed to see such a talented actor just not giving it his all. Jack Nicholson is going hard in this movie, and this scene might be the hardest that he goes. He's so amazing in this scene.
Not only is he going hard, apparently he loved his own performance so much that it was reported that he was watching this movie in his own house at least once a week because of how much he loved his own performance.
That's incredible. I love that. Holy cow. That's an amazing fact. That is Even if that's not true, I just want to believe it
I
because
mean, IMDb trivia, so that's where I found that.
I would assume they fact check there. So that's an amazing little fact. Yeah, he's so good, and this scene is it's great because they're so over the top, and then he sits down and like does this psychotic charming thing on Vicky where it's like, I am the world's first fully functioning homicidal artist.
Yeah.
Like just giving her this like pretentious speech. I
He
love his
forgot
little
he
like
forgot about Hitler, by the way.
hey, I love his hat in this scene. One thing I really love throughout the movie is that they put that brown makeup over the white makeup, and he's like try to pass himself off as a normal person.
Yeah.
They've never done that in any other Batman movie I can think of, and I think it's such a
No.
cool device because it's like he has to put on makeup to try to look human. Otherwise, he does look like a freak. Like his disguise is being a normal person. I thought
Yeah,
that's such a cool detail.
he does that a couple times too. There's like the scene with all the gang bosses and he's like wiping the cloth on his forehead and you see it smudges his flesh colored makeup to reveal his white stained face. Apparently that was a feat of makeup artistry to achieve and that the makeup artist had to like figure out a way to do that in an effective way. But yeah, whatever they did ended up being very effective.
It's so cool. I also think that this really Joker is such a more fleshed out character in this movie than Batman is. I mean, I think Batman is kind of lacking in character development, but the Joker is like really rich. And I think this is really like maybe his most horrifying thing because he literally dehumanizes Alicia and turns her into what he describes as a living work of art. You're not even
Yeah.
a person to me. I'm just going to do what I want with you, turn you into art for my whole thing. He tells her later she threw herself out of a window. He doesn't care about anything, anyone. He's just truly sociopathic and monstrous. One other thing I want to call out here, there are so many amazing line deliveries in this movie. The way the lines themselves are said is great. One of my favorites in the movie, Little Song, Little Dance, Batman's Head on a Lance. I love it. I lost my
Very
mind
subtle.
hearing that
Yeah.
again. So freaking good.
How about
Also,
never rub another man's rhubarb?
oh, we'll get there, buddy. Don't you worry about that one. One of the other bangers is become an iconic line. Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Oh yeah,
So
they repeated it
good.
too in Dark Knight, didn't they?
I think so. I mean, it's
Oh
that
no,
just.
they repeated the I want you to get me. I want you to do it. I want you to do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of a become a somewhat of a trope in superhero films. Something insane on screen happens, the score is blasting, and then just a quick toss away cutoff shot. Where does he get those wonderful toys? That just
Yeah,
shoot it
classic.
in my veins, bro.
Speaking of wonderful toys, he creates his own zip line. He has a device that he points right into the Joker's face, like a fist, and then it's not a fist, it's like a fake out to creating a horizontal zip line across the field there. Something that's later duplicated in like the Arkham Knight video games. One of the pieces of technology that you can use to move from one side of the field to the other. And absolutely amazing that he that they had this piece of technology to just move horizontally from where they were to the exit door. I just thought that was absolutely amazing.
Truly a cool gadget. We'll get into more of those later. So obviously he uses that zip line to rescue Vicky Vale, and then they escape using the Batmobile. So this is our introduction to the Batmobile. Mike, I don't even have words, dude. I'm gonna say it again, Captain Hyperbole. This is like the most iconic vehicle of all time, in my opinion. This specific Batmobile. I know the other ones are cool. They're more practical. The one in the Dark Knight is really sick because
The
it,
tumbler.
yeah, it just does all these different things. And then in Dark Knight Rises, he shoots out of it and it's a motorcycle all of a sudden. That's so cool. Like, there have been so many cool Batmobiles. This is, for me, hands down, the coolest Batmobile. Just the most iconic car of all time, in my personal opinion. I absolutely love it. Fun fact, the comedian ventriloquist Jeff Dunham owns this Batmobile.
You're
He
kidding.
actually, no, he actually bought it and he put a Corvette engine in it so it can be street legal. So wherever Jeff Dunham lives, presumably he's just driving around getting groceries in the Batmobile. If I had FU money, I would 1,000,000% buy a Batmobile, this Batmobile. I know Joe Burrow thought about getting one. I think he was going to get a Dark Knight one. I would get this Batmobile 10 times out of 10. I absolutely love this vehicle.
I love it too. I will say I have stood next to this vehicle in person. I took a Warner Brothers backlot tour a few years back and I got to see all of the Batmobiles in person. So I have stood next to it. It feels like the ultimate muscle car or like Ferrari, one of those vehicles that's very low to the ground. This movie makes it feel very larger than life in person when you're seeing it on the screen. It feels like something that could just tear up the streets as it's going down and it's got its giant flame engine sticking out the back. But when you're standing next to it, it does actually feel very small and compact in comparison. I love the Tumbler. I have a soft spot in my heart for that vehicle, but I might go with the Batman animated Batmobile. I think we haven't seen that in person, physically as a tangible vehicle, but I think that the design of that one might be slightly better. But you have not seen anything like this up to this point. We just watched all the Superman movies. There's nothing like this in any of those movies prior to that, except for the 1966 Batmobile, which is like a weird Homer Simpson kind of vehicle where it's got the
I'm
domes and bubbles.
It's
So,
iconic in its own way. I mean, it's
yeah,
it's very cool car, but it's kind of like a muscle car. There's no car out there that looks like this. The design inspiration was really from like 20s and 30s vehicles, like very early, where they had the really long chassis on the front.
sure.
Apparently, they used a Chevy Impala as the actual component parts for the Batmobile in this film. They tried a couple different things, and that was the one that worked. Yeah, great point. It's just a singular vehicle in superhero cinema. There's really no other. I mean, I can't really think of any other character that has like a vehicle that's like this is their thing. I mean, maybe Wonder Woman's plane. I mean,
Yeah,
like
but it's
that's
invisible, so you don't even
yeah.
see it. Yeah,
Like there's just they don't generally have vehicles that are so iconic. I mean, this is the iconic superhero vehicle, and this is the definitive one in my opinion. So
great point. Yeah, no other character has something like this for sure. This is part of what makes him so cool, as we
totally,
talked about earlier.
totally,
He's so cool that he has the most iconic ride that you could ever want to be a part. Like, yeah, of course I want to jump in that car and cruise down the street with Batman. That thing is badass.
truly. They have their chase scene through the city, which is fun, and then again, just blew my mind as a kid when he gets out of the car and says shields, and the shields come up and lock it down, and there is no getting into that thing. Oh, it's so cool. The coolest thing. That leads to the alley fight with a couple different bad guys, the swords dude. One thing I noticed a lot on this, Mike, is that Batman's moves in this are almost all defensive. He doesn't actually like do a whole lot. He lets other people do their thing, and then he finds the one move that will stop them. And he
Yeah.
does that in this scene. It's really the actual Batman fighting stuff is kind of limited in this movie. It's almost all just sort of defensive maneuvers.
This guy's on pogo sticks, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. He has pogo sticks attached to the back of his calves, and he immediately launches like 25 feet over the top of this fence and comes down with a couple of swords. Very reminiscent of Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of scene, I thought, where
Hmm.
this guy has a couple of swords, and there was supposed to be a sword and whip fight scene between him and Indy, and he just ends up pulling out a gun and shooting him. But I felt like they kind of tried to take that scene and instead of doing what Harrison Ford would do because Batman doesn't use guns, we're going to do what Batman would do, which would be just exploit the weakness and find the one
Kick
uppercut
the
or
dude.
whatever.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he just kicks him. He just kicks
Yeah.
him in his face when he comes at him. It's sick.
So it's a great spin on that type of scene, I thought. It showcases what Batman can do and how smart he is compared to everybody else.
Next action scene, party balloons. Gotham has decided to go ahead with their 200th anniversary party despite the Joker and all of his threats about, we'll get into this later because
Yeah.
like I've got questions. I got
Even though the
questions.
day before he's like, I'm gonna give a bunch of money away. Anyway,
It's unbelievable. But people show up. They're having a great time. Joker's got some incredibly cool and fun looking balloons. Everyone's having a blast. Trust is blasting from the speakers. Jack Nicholson's doing a great dance. He's having an amazing time up on the platform. Everyone is like, what an amazing city we decided to live in. I'm so glad the green gas starts coming out and everyone starts dying. So Batman breaks out his second sick ass vehicle of the film, and the Batplane shows up. The Batplane,
the Bat
not
Wing.
sorry, excuse me, thank you. The Batwing, not nearly as cool as the Batmobile, but we've just established the Batmobile is like maybe the most iconic car of all time. Still really, really freaking sick that he has a plane that's shaped like a bat, and he uses the grapple or the like clips to grab all the balloons, take them up into high atmosphere, release them up, pierce through the clouds, stunt in front of the full moon to give us the logo.
Points for style there. Yeah.
Love this scene. It's amazing. This is such a cool scene. It's not really a lot of action going on. It's pretty much just Batman in a plane and some close ups and him grabbing some balloons. But this is where you get a really good look at the production design of Gotham City. Again, just absolute stunning from the Joker. Just really, really like this scene.
The scene is cool, and I do like the Batwing, of course. I think it's a great vehicle. It felt a little strategically like, what are you doing, Bruce? He's in the car and the parade is coming out. He leaves and then he gets in the Batwing and then he's basically just flying around, assuming that he's going to need the Batwing, which he ends up, yes, needing to get the balloons, but that's kind of the only thing he does in this moment. So this is not my favorite action scene just because I have a lot of questions in this moment here we can get into later, but I think that this is one of the iconic Joker scenes though. Having party balloons or giant parade balloons that leak toxic laughing gas out onto the crowd that kills people and kills them in their giant grin smile. That is so quintessential Joker. That's something we see over and over again throughout Joker's history in like Batman the Animated Series and in the comics is like he's always using laughing gas to kill people and to do it in a parade float is just absolutely quintessential.
Beautifully said. That's spot on. To your point about the Batwing, the thing that I don't understand, they actually have a shot where Joker is directly in the targets. It's locked on, and he lets out rockets and guns, and they all just miss him by like 2 feet. And it's like, well, your targeting system's off then, Batman, because you literally, it beeps. It shows you he's in the bullseye
Yeah.
and
Target
you still
locks.
miss
Yeah.
him. Like, come on, you gotta recalibrate that, bro. And of course, our final action scene of the film, cathedral climax. So this is the Joker taking Vicky Vale up to the very top of the cathedral. Now, I know you mentioned, and you're shaking your head as we speak, this apparently was tacked on at the end of the movie. It was not actually part of the script. The producers were like, we need one more big climactic battle here. And initially, the thought was he's going to take Vicky Vale to the top of the cathedral, throw her off, and then Batman's going to lose his mind and then, kill the Joker and do all
Oh
that.
wow.
So they didn't obviously go with that dark of an ending, but it was kind of sprung on them from the producers. It wasn't initially part of what they had written in the script. So it does feel a little tacked on. That being said, I do enjoy the scene. I mean, these are really, they come back to back to one another. So it's almost like one long action climax, but I like him going up the steps and like Joker like sprays the bell and it almost hits Batman and crashes to the bottom, which prevents the police from being able to come up. That's a clever little bit. I think those fight scenes against the henchmen at the top are really good. I'm still not quite worked out the physics how Batman can like fall and then hold on to the bottom and then swing his legs up and grab the guy and then flip him down into fall. Like it's you really got to have like a secure leverage underneath there to be able to pull off that maneuver. But nevertheless, fights the henchman and then of course I like the climactic battle with the Joker. I think it's really fun. I like the fact that they don't even really make it like Batman is kicking the crap out of him. Like he can't really fight Batman. I thought
Right.
that was like really cool. It's like that is exactly how this would go. Like you would get your ass beat. Punches him in the face, he spits out the chattering teeth with the blood. I thought that was just a great
Never hit a guy with
um
glasses, would you?
never hit a guy with glass. Like it just really good stuff with the dynamic between the two of them. It's their only showdown really in the movie directly. So I got a soft spot in my heart for this one.
I will save a lot of this scene for I got questions because there's a lot of this scene that just does not make sense to me. But it does feel very tacked on, especially on rewatch, because I was sitting there watching it and it's like, okay, we've got at least 5 minutes of just Joker taking Vicky up the stairs and Batman following her, and there's no dialogue in this scene. It's just like kind of felt like they were extending the runtime of the movie as they go up this giant spiraling staircase over and over again. And then he gets to the top, and it's like, okay, he's gonna fight some henchmen up there while Joker just dances with her in the background, doing this ballroom waltz kind of dance in the background there. So a lot of the scene just felt like we're just trying to stretch it out here and trying to get our money's worth. I'm not really crazy about the way that Batman ends up killing him, but I think that the conversation that actually happens between the two of them at the top of the tower is really good, where he's like, "You killed my parents," and he's like, I don't even remember that. I assume I killed your parents because that's the kind of person that I am, but that really works for me. But everything else around that scene just does not work for me.
So what's your pick for best action scene in Batman? Is it Axis Chemicals accident, museum melee, and Batmobile escape party balloons? Definitely is not going to be Cathedral Climax. What you got, Mike?
I'm gonna go with the museum into the Batmobile escape. I think that like I said, it showcases Batman's gadgets really well. It's the first appearance of the Batmobile, which is so iconic. It showcases Joker's comedy in that scene where he's dancing and doing the Prince music and graffitiing all the artwork there. It's a great little 10 to 15 minutes worth of movie that just works on every cylinder. Everybody's cooking in that scene. And it just works really well.
I was thinking I would go with party balloons, but after discussing with you, I think that's definitely the pick. Yeah, I mean, it's just an iconic scene in superhero film history. We're kind of truncating two scenes into one because the museum part is kind of its own thing, and then the Batmobile escape and the fight is another. But if we're going to put them all together, I mean, that is the heart of the movie right there. You get a little bit of everything: good Joker stuff, good Batman stuff, Batmobile porn. This is what we're here for, baby. This is the good stuff that we're here for. Now, I actually would argue I think there's a case to be made that the non-action scenes are even better in this movie. I've got a number of these here for you. Let's start with the very first scene of the film, Assault in the Alley. I love this opening. I absolutely love it. It parallels the beginning of Batman's own origin with the parents and the young boy trying to figure something out, getting stuck up in an alley. Obviously, they don't get murdered, thankfully, but it's a very scary scene and just a great way to introduce Batman too. And these two guys almost like steal the whole movie for me. I absolutely love their performances. I love the guy. Let's call him an American Express guy, the dude that robs the wife
Oh God,
and
yeah.
sticks the gun in his face. Johnny Gobbs got ripped and took a walk off a building. There's so many things. Hey, look at this American Express card. Don't leave home without it. Like,
Yeah, God.
some.
That's not the last time we'll see a credit card product placement in a Batman movie.
I really, I love everything about this scene. I love how those guys do it. And rewatching it, this is the part that now as a grown man, I can genuinely appreciate. The guy, the homeless guy that's hitting up for $1. Hey, mister, you got $1? Come on, just $1. He never asks politely. He's just demanding the money from the guy. And then he mutters, what are you, deaf? You don't speak English? This dude, I was like, is he in on it or is he just being opportunistic? He's in on it. When they go up there, they're like talking together of like, you want your cut, blah blah blah. It's definitely he's in on it. That guy completely sells it. He sets
Yeah.
up the whole thing. He does an amazing job. That guy should get the Gotham Oscar for best performance to set up a robbery in an alleyway
Sure. He's the
at the
yeah,
Gothies, as they're
the mark
known.
or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I love the scene.
I thought it was extremely bold to open the movie this way because, as you mentioned, it parodies what happens with Bruce Wayne's parents. But if you're a casual viewer, if you don't know anything about Batman, or even if you do know something about Batman, this movie is kind of like opening in a fake out scene. If you're a comic book fan, you're thinking at this point, the first time you're watching this, oh, this is clearly Thomas and Martha Wayne, and this is young Bruce Wayne, and they're going to wander into the alley and they're going to get murdered. I thought it was really bold to open the first real movie of a Batman franchise with a fake out story or with a fake out like origin story of what's happening here. Especially watching it now and today in 2025, I was like, I cannot even imagine them trying to do this if we had done Spider-Man for the first time today and it's like we think it's Uncle Ben on screen that's about to die. You know, like this is unheard of, something like this ever happening.
Great point. It's such a good opening scene. It really establishes everything. Next up, Last Days of Jack Napier. So we're just going to kind of combine all of the stuff with Jack Napier and Carl
You're my number
Grissom.
one guy.
You are my number one guy. There's, as I mentioned, so many banger lines in this movie. The very first thing that he says in this movie is, decent people shouldn't live here. They'd be happier someplace else. So good. Jerry Hall, who was married to Mick Jagger at the time, or did get married to Mick Jagger,
Oh wow.
and is now married to Rupert Murdoch, or maybe divorced from Rupert Murdoch, but ex-husbands include Mick Jagger and Rupert Murdoch. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, I think her one and only film role, as far as I know, kind of clinging all over him. You look fine. And he turns, I didn't ask.
Exactly.
Just so good. One thing that caught my eye this time, Mike, I hadn't noticed before, the paintings on the walls are of women with white faces. Very clever
Oh
little
wow.
bit of foreshadowing. It's like that 80s painting, like they were very iconic at the time, but it is a very clever bit of foreshadowing. This is where we get some of the establishing shots of Gotham, and it just looks so good. And then, yeah, the Carl Grissom scene too. She gets out of the elevator, he holds up a Joker card, and the shot is from the point of view, like a first person point of view, bullet hole through the Joker card as she gets off the elevator. I mean, it's definitely on the nose as far as visual metaphors go, but I was
hmm
really into it. And then we get the iconic, you are my number one guy. One
He's
thing that
he's in
this,
the purple suit there too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that really, this movie really made me recognize, right, is that I think one hallmark of Tim Burton is that all of his films have at least one character who is really hamming it up. Like they are going for it. Jack Palance is really going for it in this movie. He only has like literally this scene and then when Joker kills him are the only two scenes of the whole film that he's in. But yeah, I mean, everyone is kind of pitched at a certain level and the way they deliver the lines, it's just, that's the interesting thing about this movie. I would say it's not campy, right? But it is over the top. It's not kitschy, but it is highly, highly pitched, highly stylized, like the old Batman movie was. So I think in a weird way, like it is a very dark and serious movie in a lot of respects, but it does kind of almost honor the 60s stuff by being just so over the top. And I felt like I really started noticing it beginning in this scene.
Yeah, and just as an observation, it takes a long time for them to get to Jack Palance, but they talk about him in almost every scene leading up to that moment too. There's some kind of piece of dialogue that talks about Grissom and his character of like, oh, Grissom owns this town, or you can't do anything without Grissom noticing, or I've got to report back to Grissom in this moment. So it's like we already kind of know who he is by the time he hits the screen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentlemen, thank you.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, next scene, charity ball. So this is the Bruce and Vicky first introduction. I like this scene. I mean, it's so Robert Wall, okay, he plays Knox. I think a lot of people have been a little harsh on him over the years. I'm not going to say he's like one of the best parts about this movie, but honestly, like rewatching it, I was like, I kind of like his character. I kind of like the function that he serves. He's kind of there to establish the sort of news coverage angle, right? That like Batman's just now coming out, and they're all kind of who's this new guy? I mean, he serves the plot heavily, but I think Robert Wall does a pretty good job. He always has like one-liners that are both corny and like kind of funny. Like he's like, "Oh, you have an amazing eye." Oh, some say she has too, you know. And look at this mirror.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
bad.
he should be called Bruce Wayne. I don't know.
Also
Again,
bad.
they're bad, but as someone who writes a lot of puns in my writing, I don't mind them.
The guy's like ultimate dad joke factory before dad jokes were like really a thing.
Fair enough. Bruce and Vicky's date and Joker resurrection. These kind of all are intercut. Again, love this stuff. So I love the date, the massive table, such a good scene. It just can you pass the salt? I mean, I think this has been done in like a lot of comedy movies before, but like it's just hilarious. And then I never really caught this line until rewatching it. Did you have a hard time finding the house? Like
Yeah, that was really yeah, of
he
course.
lives in a giant manor.
Yeah, who's
No,
gonna miss that place? Yeah,
she knows how to get there, dude. And then of course, like I tell you the truth, I don't think I've ever been in this room before.
that
I'm
was
gonna get
great.
out of here. Go to the
Yeah,
kitchen. Love the way that they cut to Alfred and he's just telling stories and they're all just hanging out. Like that actually feels real to me, you know? This is
yeah,
like maybe the most realistic part of the movie where they genuinely seem like they're getting on. Alfred's like taking a shine to her. I mean, we got to give a shout out to Alfred here. Michael Goff is the definitive Alfred, in my opinion. I know he's older than some iterations. He doesn't always come off like he could be like Batman's helper beyond Bruce Wayne's butler, right? And that's an important role for Alfred. He might be a little too old for that in some respects, but I just he has a warmth about him, and he really does come off as like a grandfatherly figure in a way that like humanizes Bruce Wayne and actually makes me feel like he was just a poor, vulnerable kid who lost his family, and now this is his family, as he says in the movie. I love this Alfred. I think he's always going to be my favorite with respect to some really good Alfreds in other Batman films.
I think Alfred has always been really well cast, but he fits really well, especially when he's kind of the only consistent casting through the 90s here. We get him through Val Kilmer and George Clooney as Alfred, which I think is it's really nice to see him continuing that continuity and like, okay, we're getting different casting for Bruce Wayne, but it's still kind of all leading up into the same universe here because we've got the same casting for Alfred. Like that felt really nice, but I will say this dinner scene, yes, everything I completely agree with everything you said. However, it ends very problematically for me, which is where Vicky's like, "Oh my God, I'm so drunk," and you're not drunk at all. And he's like, "Okay, well, let's go hit the sack together then." That doesn't work well today. Bruce Wayne would be canceled for that.
I had the exact same thought. I was like, "Whoa, whoa, bro."
Oh,
Now,
and then
to be
Alfred's like, "Oh, but she sure does liven up the place." Like he's all on board with Bruce Wayne taking advantage of a drunk Vicky Vale. He loves that.
I will say the problematic and frankly statutory nature of that technical crime that he commits. When she's up in the morning, she's like kissing him. She's like, "This is fun." She's
She
really
says
not.
later, like, I've been in love with you since the moment I met you.
Yeah. So like she isn't like, "Oh my God, you took advantage of me." So that definitely mitigates it. Nevertheless, for a superhero who ostensibly has strong ethics and a good moral core, yeah, a little bit problematic there. These scenes are all intercut with the Joker finally making his first appearance after falling into the vat of green acid. These are some great scenes, man. I really, really like this stuff. The bandage reveal scene is awesome. I absolutely love the way it's like a monster movie. You
Yeah.
know, you're a monster now, and they don't show you. It's just him laughing and then smashing the mirror, and I did my best. So good. And then when he shows up at Boss Grissom's place and oh, hey, Jack, you're back. Wow, glad to see you. And he's like, yeah, right. But they keep him in the shadow. And he's
Hmm.
like, you set me up over a woman, woman, and
Yeah.
just freaking out. And Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me. And he steps in the light. The Joker.
Yeah, it's a great reveal.
It's such a good reveal. It's just you're waiting for it. You know it's coming. Just awesome stuff. I really really love all the introduction to the Joker character. And then even to like the again, I mentioned the pacing. It just goes back and forth, back and forth. You know, Vicky busts him immediately in his lie. He's like, oh, I gotta go to town. And she goes down and sees Alfred, and he's like, "We're not what? We're gonna be in town for quite a while.
Oh,
Like,
well,
you
he
gotta,
blows himself up because first he's like, "Oh, I've got a meeting today," and then he's like, "Oh, wait, I'm going out of town today." So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then he goes downstairs, and Alfred's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. We're gonna be here for a while."
Bad moves, Batman. What are you doing?
What are you doing, bro?
What are you doing? What are you doing, Bruce Wayne? But yeah, again, this cuts back and forth, and then it's Joker monologuing about seeing a Batman in the paper and like, wait till they get a load of me.
Great line,
Oh,
classic.
love it. Just love that whole scene and just his cackling. This is fire stuff. Next scene, boss meeting and press conference massacre. More just absolute fire, pun intended. Um, this is again just Jack Nicholson is cooking so hard in this scene when he's just talking to all the guys, kind of playing it like, yeah, I am that guy. Boss is just out of town. He put me in charge. No big deal. You guys want to come along with my plan? What's the plan? Burn the whole city ground. There is no plan. They're just chaos. And they're kind of like, what's going on? And of course, Tony is like, I don't like this. And he's like, we just shake on it and we're good.
Oh,
And
the
just,
buzzer, yeah,
it is so good. Just lighting
classic,
that guy on
classic Joker,
fire,
yeah,
just
with the
lighting him
hand
on
buzzer.
fire. And then, of course, one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. You know, you are a vicious bastard, and I'm glad you're dead.
Yeah,
And then just
yeah.
erupting into laughter. I'm glad you're dead. It just finds it so amusing to himself. Like now that you've told me that Jack Nicholson watched this movie himself on repeat at his own house, I I'm like, yes, you get it, Jack Nicholson, who also performed this. Like, I could watch this shit all day long, bro. All day long. It's so good. That scene leads into Vicky, who now is aware that Bruce is lying to her, kind of doing a little stalker action, following him into the city. Really good music in this stretch. I really like the score, what Elfman did with the score during this part. It's really just instrumental that carries the whole thing. It's just pictures and images. There's no dialogue. And then that leads directly into the press conference massacre. This is great. Knox has another cornball line. What'd you guys do a little time together as children?
Yeah.
Why is he leaving you the empire? I like this is just really good subtle world building where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna use the exact same line that he tried to pull and be like, oh, Carl's out of town, I'm in charge now. So talk to me. Everyone is just already just angling for this whole thing. They don't know that he's dead for sure. Presumably they put two and two together, but they don't know that for a fact. And he's already just like, no, actually, he gave me his empire. I'm going to go up here in front of cameras and microphones to make this claim. Now, I will say one of the things that I was highly confused about here, and I ran it back twice to confirm the actual line itself. So Joker comes out, he's got his suit and coattails on, and he says,
Hmm.
it's true. He signed it with his own blood, with his pen. And then he says, hello, Vinny. It's your Uncle Bingo. Time to pay the check.
Yeah, and
What?
then he throws the pen. Yeah, this he
What,
has
what, but what does
many
that mean?
lines.
Like, who's the Uncle Bingo and why are you paying checks? Like, I don't understand. Like, you get handed a pen when you are writing a check? Is that what the pun is? I was just confused by that particular line itself. And who's Uncle Bingo? What's going on here?
I don't know. He says a few things. We talked about it earlier, but never rub another man's rhubarb is a confusing line. I also wrote another one down that I wanted to call out specifically. I'm of a mind, make some mookie. What does that mean?
No idea. I
No
wondered for
idea.
years as a kid. I was like, this makes no sense. What is this line?
Yes, at least three lines in this movie that just make absolutely no sense. And I'm wondering if it's like, is this just Jack Nicholson riffing off some random memory or like something in the back of his mind that he knows, or is just and they just decided, yeah, that sounds funny, let's keep it. But this is one of those lines that applies to what you're talking about.
Another line that I did not make any sense to me at all for many, many years when I was a child until I became an adult and I learned about these things. But this town needs an enema.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
good.
what? What are those words? I don't know what the words. What is an enema? Enemy? Is that what you're trying to say? I didn't really actually understand what that was until you come to an age where,
Mhm.
thankfully, I've never had to have one of those myself. But yes, it's the day I became a man, Mike.
That one made me
Um,
laugh for sure. One last thing regarding the press conference here, and I talked about it for a second earlier, where Tim Burton apparently loves to have people wearing black and white striped shirts in the movies, and I felt like this is where he was like, "How can I insert people like that into this movie? Of course, I'm going to put a bunch of mimes in this scene with the Joker. He's got like three or four mimes swarming the steps of the Capitol building there. I don't know if about you, but if I saw more than one mime in a single place at one time, I'm running for the exits as soon as I can.
okay, I was going to save this for I've got questions, but let's get into this now.
Okay.
How does the Joker train his henchmen in the art of mime? They're good mimes. They're
No, they're
not
not.
just
No, they're bad.
I don't know. Some of them are okay. Like they're doing okay. I mean, one guy is just like waves, but like I think they're like competent mimes. They didn't just learn it yesterday, when in fact they would have had to literally have learned that yesterday. It seems based on the timeline of this film. It was pretty shocking to me how quickly these guys were amenable to the idea of becoming mimes. These guys are hoods, and all of a sudden it's like now you're going to be mimes.
I don't even know where he got his henchmen from in the first place, other than just stealing them from Jack Palance's character. But he
Yeah.
he brought all of them in, and now they're just part of the Joker gang, and he gives them all jackets that have a picture of his face on it, and
Okay. We'll get
yeah.
into this more. Okay, because yeah, I've got a lot of stuff on this. So, all right. Next up, cosmetics carnage. This is the TV news stuff. I love this scene, Mike. Maybe because I work in media and TV stuff, but this was like super captivating to me at the time when I was a kid. It was like, oh, it's a TV show on a movie and kind of behind the scenes. I just really found that all very fascinating as a youngster. Yeah, really good stuff and just kind of like what's going on here exactly. Like I like the way that it's like a news report and it kind of starts off with this story about these models that die and then it's like the next guy is talking to things, she starts laughing and everyone's like horrified like why are you laughing during these sad news report, and then just going into hysterics and falling over. I love this stuff, man. It's really good.
The way that it's
Um,
cut is really good because you get a single camera shot with two monitors on the same frame. And so you're seeing the way that they're cutting from camera one to camera two, which is really good. And so you can kind of tell, like, okay, they're on camera two right now, but you're seeing the footage from camera one where she's starting to lose control and lose her composure and laugh. And it's creating this weird awkwardness at first. And you don't really know what's happening. And then, oh, the reveal happens where she's been poisoned by Joker and she's dies in the laughing gas, and that's pretty brilliant, I thought, with the way that they filmed it from like the director of the studio's perspective.
yeah, I love it. And like Joker's whole commercial too is just so good. Like, love that Joker. It's so good.
With the Conan O'Brien like mouth cutout thing happening.
Exactly. It's so good.
Robert Smigel
Um,
doing, love that Joker.
love that Joker. Next scene, Bruce pays a visit to Vicky's. This will be our last one. I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is it. This is the one for me. I mean, I love all of these scenes, and actually, this is a really difficult category to choose because I just love everything about this movie and all of these scenes. But this is the one. If I had to distill it, man, it's so good. I love the design of Vicky's apartment and the way it kind of captures all the aesthetic of Gotham City sort of boiled down into like her place. I love his kind of clumsy attempt of explaining to her what's going on and it's just not coming off well. That's some of the best humor in the movie. And then, of course, when Joker shows up and then it's just like, what's he gonna do? You see him go over, take the flowers off of the tray. You never see him like shove it up his shirt. You just see him kind of looking at it and then it cuts back. He kind of steps into the scene. He didn't have to. He could have just like hidden under the bed and been fine, but he He puts himself out there. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. That line delivery is so good. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. That's a great line delivery.
The
Did you ever
rhubarb
dance?
line.
Did you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? And then I had it down too. Never rub another man's rhubarb.
It doesn't make any
It's,
sense. What does that even
it's,
mean?
I have no idea what that means. I don't even really know what rhubarb is.
What? It's a root.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah, that
root
sounds right.
plant. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I didn't know that.
You
Maybe
never
that's what
had
they make Dr.
rhubarb
Pepper
pie?
with. Yeah,
No,
okay, there we go.
no, Dr. Pepper is made from prunes originally,
Oh, okay. All
but
right.
rhubarb pie is delicious.
Okay,
But
we'll go with that.
it makes no sense for him to say it in this moment.
And yet it makes perfect sense because it's just the way he delivers that, the angle in the shot, it's just so good. All this happens. He gets shot, falls to the ground. He swoons out of there. I love the sort of romantic music when he leaves the place and he's pining for her. And then she comes back in, sees that Bruce is gone and the tray's there. And then it's like, all right, I'm going to open this box finally. And the little stinger of music and the dead flowers popping up. I mean, this is like, oh, I love this scene. That's my pick right there.
I think it serves really well as a plot device, this scene, because the crucial moment is when he tells Bruce Wayne, "You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" Which then leads him back to think introspectively about when his parents were murdered, and he realizes, oh, that's the same thing that the guy who killed my parents, what he said. And so you then kind of learn that very much akin to Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction that he's got this thing that he says every time he's about to murder someone that just sounds badass to him. The Bible verse, or in this case, this one line. So, yeah, it serves really well as a plot device. But I think for me, I'm actually going to go best non action scene for me is the cosmetic carnage scene because I think that that fits so perfectly with Joker's motif. I can't tell you how many times I've seen in either the animated series or in comics or in other movies where Joker will apparently as a master chemist will poison stuff that he knows that Gotham City will consume, like fish or cosmetics or what have you, that will turn people into this shrieking grin of a cadaver. I just thought that this was such a great visual representation of that specific imagery that he loves to imbue upon the citizens of Gotham. And I think for me that captured this character perfectly. So I'm going with Cosmetic Carnage for best non-action scene.
Great call. This is like one of those races where the winner, they have to go down to like milliseconds because
By a
everybody crossed the
nose.
finish line so close because every one of these scenes is just an absolute banger. Now let's talk about our next category. Excited for this one, Mike. Death and destruction. How bad is it? And I went ahead and did a pretty close analysis, as close as I could. This is a gruesome movie, Mike. I mean, this is really brutal. Okay. Now I'm counting 24 deaths minimum that we know of. Okay. Eckhart gets
Okay.
shot.
Yep.
Grissom gets shot. Tony and Vinny, the gangsters. We see Thomas and Martha Wayne also get killed. Bob, who
Bob, yep.
has the worst death of all, he's mad about the balloons, and you just give me my gun and shoots your best friend, most
Yep.
loyal henchman. That to me is like I was saying, the museum scene hints at it. This is where it's like this man is truly evil because his best and most loyal friend, who, by the way, that actor,
Playing Bob.
Bob, yeah, so Bob is played by Tracy Walter. Tracy Walter has appeared in over 170 TV shows and films over the course of his life. He's also good friends with Jack Nicholson in real life. Tim Burton was like, "Do you know anyone who would be good as your best friend slash henchman?" And he's like, "My guy, Tracy Walter, would be perfect for this role."
Wow.
Gets
Okay.
his actual real life, one of his best friends in real life, to get this role. If you really look, you will know him from so many movies, including two Jonathan Demme 90s classics, Silence of the Lambs and Philadelphia. He was in your past Superhero Cinema Club recommendation, City Slickers as Cookie, and
No.
he's Cookie in City Slickers also. He was in 9 movies with Jack Nicholson alone. Jack Nicholson was always like, put my guy Tracy in this movie. So, with all of that, Bob gets done so dirty. It just broke my heart. Like, all these people are getting killed everywhere in this movie, and yet I'm just pouring it out for Bob. Rest in peace, Bob Lagoon. You were the man. We also see a parade goer on the roof of the car die from the toxic gas. The 2 henchmen who fall down the stairs at the cathedral when Batman fights them.
Hmm.
So that's 11. And then on the news report, they say at least 13 people have died as a result of the cosmetic stuff. So now we know for sure 24 people have died in this movie. Now there's some implied deaths as well. Okay. Batman blows up Axis chemicals.
He sure does. Yeah, he drops a bomb right at the feet of one of the goons there.
Okay. Okay. That now is up to 25 for sure. I'm going to go ahead and assume there's at least 5 security guards on detail. So that's going to be now up to 30. The Gotham birthday celebration. What are we talking about here? I would say
10,
10?
10 to 10 to 15, maybe. I don't know. Do you think more than
What?
that?
I had a
You
hundred, man. I mean,
well, okay. I just kind of figured people were running for their lives there,
to be
but
fair, like they do show that it does seem that the gas disperses pretty quickly.
yeah, and he
Like
takes the
Knox,
balloons away pretty quickly. So
yeah, Knox doesn't die, even though he's out there like swinging his bat at the goons and stuff. A couple goons do fall from the ropes pretty far, so presumably they may have died. All right, well, I had 100, so that I think you make a good argument. So what's your number there?
I'm gonna go 50 at the most
Okay,
in this
so at
movie.
this point, though, we're talking 80 people. 80 people have died on screen in this movie. For
I meant
super.
50 in total,
Oh,
including everything we mentioned. So maybe
okay. Well, there was
maybe
30 for sure.
maybe 10 to 25 at the 200th anniversary ceremony.
Okay. So
That was my
50.
guess.
Okay. I mean, that, is considerably less than my initial death toll, but that is still 50 people that we see get killed in this movie. I mean, and we see it,
Not
or
to
at
mention the
least.
news reporters too.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot the anchor. She's dead on the ground. The 2 models, presumably they're part of the 13. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people getting killed in this movie. That's all I'm trying to get at. When we were like speculating about Superman, it's entirely speculative how many people died. And in a couple of those, you said zero.
Yeah,
So yeah, immediately Batman's like, this ain't your previous generation superhero movie. We're out here killing 50 people or more.
despite his rule, which I guess is not really established at this point, but
Yeah, that's another discussion for another time because this Batman doesn't have that rule. It just clearly does not have that rule. It's okay. Directing and writing. The directing is maybe the star of the movie here. I'm not sure. I mean, Nicholson is probably the star. Tim Burton is a close second. His style is vividly on display in this film. You have the over the top, hammy performances, as I mentioned. I love the use of lighting and color. A lot of the times you'll notice like Batman will step into a light where it just is shining on his eyes and just kind of illuminating, which is like kind of a film noir trick. The gothic feel of everything. It's a very goth movie and both like architecturally and culturally very
yeah,
goth. Yeah, I just feel like this he made a movie that is a Batman movie that still had his distinct stamp, even more so I would argue than Nolan, right? Like Nolan's movies are amazing, some of the best, but I wouldn't necessarily be like that those are representative of Nolan's style. I think you would actually go outside of the Batman movies if you're going to try to nail down the things that are kind of signatures of Christopher Nolan. So I kind of feel like this is like the most distinctly auteurist Batman film. What do you got on that?
I think it definitely feels like a Tim Burton movie, and a lot of that is reinforced by Danny Elfman's score. Michael Keaton making his second appearance in a Tim Burton movie. Jack Nicholson being in this movie is such a crazy moment for Tim Burton. This is his third movie. He's not really that. I mean, yes, his first two movies are like bangers and pretty well established culturally at this point in the mid 80s, but you wouldn't think that someone like Jack Nicholson would come in and be like, "Yeah, okay, I'll be the. I know I'm second billing, but yeah, I'm going to be the star of your movie." Like that's so unheard of for something like this to happen. I don't know. It's just it definitely it's a great showcase of Tim Burton's style, but I will also say it also kind of feels like the least Tim Burton-y of all of his movies. If you look at something like Beetlejuice or you talked about
Nightmare Before
Nightmare
Christmas.
Before Christmas and Corpse Bride and Sweeney Todd and everything. If you look at his entire filmography as a whole, this is not a very Tim Burton kind of movie. It feels like more of a it feels more like a superhero movie that he did rather than a Tim Burton movie that is about superheroes.
That's a really good point because I think there's way more Tim Burton in Batman Returns than there is in this movie. And you're 100% right about that. Like he goes full Tim Burton in Batman Returns, and I do think that you there's still unmistakable hallmarks of visually and thematically in this film. Now, as far as the writing goes, I think the script is good. It's not necessarily exceptional. I wouldn't say that it's like the best Batman script, certainly compared to like something like Dark Knight or Batman Begins or even The Batman. I mean, the script is pretty amazing in that movie. The one thing I will say is the change canonically that Jack Napier is the guy that murders Batman's parents, I think was a very smart decision. Now, Sam Hamm was not part of that decision. I think that was made later in one of the rewrites, but I actually thought it's really good. I'm going to save more thoughts for later, but I did actually like that decision. But overall, I don't think the writing is kind of what makes this movie.
Yeah, and that decision, I think, confused audiences for a long time. I remember having conversations with people, friends, people in bars, things like that, where they're like, "Oh, I thought the Joker was the one who killed Bruce Wayne's parents." And I'm like, "Well, in that movie, yeah, but you look at it in like Frank Miller's version or Christopher Nolan's version, or like there's many different versions where it's just like a random criminal. You have Joe Chill being the one to do it. It's like Joker being the one to kill his parents has only happened this one time, and it actually kind of doesn't make sense because it also means that Joker is like 20 to 30 years older than Bruce because he's an adult at this point to have killed his parents. And so to me, Batman and Joker have always been in the same generation. And for them to change the script that dramatically and to change the character that dramatically and to age him up to do that just doesn't really resonate with me.
It's a fair point. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but yeah. Costumes, gadgets, secret identity. The bat costume. I love it. I do love this costume. I kind of almost feel like if you're going to go down to Hollywood Boulevard and you're going to see the guys that are like asking, for $5 to get your photo, they're kind of wearing a variation of this suit. That being said, future bat suits are way better, and the main reason is that this is like so impractical. And I only recently saw a meme on Instagram that pointed out like he can't turn his head. His neck is completely surrounded by like plastic. So if he has to look at
Yeah.
something, he has to move his entire body to look up. That is the most impractical costume for crime fighting. I mean, you can't get less practical than that. It looks cool as hell, but it's not really a great suit for taking out criminals and doing that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a mixed bag for me. Because, like I said, I think of it in my mind's eye, it looks amazing. And I think it kind of redefined the costume in a lot of respects, and certainly like redefined it from the Adam West era. It's stylish, but not functional. Let's put it that way.
I think everything about this suit looks amazing except the cowl. I think if he had the ability to turn his head, that would change things a little bit. If he could just look left and right, that would be a different story. But I love everything about the bodysuit. It looks great. The way that the cowl kind of comes down in this frilled design looks amazing. His yellow symbol on his chest looks amazing in contrast with his yellow belt. The cowl itself, though, looks too thick. It's like half an inch thick of molded rubber, and maybe this was a product of the time in 1989 in comparison to watching it on a high def TV in 2025, but you can really see it's like a half an inch of thick rubber that it looks like they just cut out the eye holes with an X-Acto knife. And you can almost see the fingerprints of like the way that they molded the rubber on the top of the cowl there. So the cowl itself is the weakest point of the movie, which is unfortunate watching it today. And yeah, you watch, Dark Knight, they even address, oh, you want to be able to turn your head. That's something that we need to fix in the costume for sure. Other than that, I think everything about this costume is amazing. The way the cape looks, that he comes down, he's floating down through the smoke. He's got his cape extended. It's like everything about this costume
I know.
is 100% top notch. But the cowl,
Yeah.
I think the cowl is the weakest point.
Yeah, I want to call it the cape specifically. I was just like, oh my God. I guess because we've been watching the Superman movie, which is really just like a flowing piece of cloth or kind of plasticky in the Superman Returns, but it's amazing. It has the actual bat, the curves at the bottom, and the
Yeah,
sort of spires to make it look bat like. I mean, this cape is just
same thing on the
so
on the bottom of the cowl across his shoulders and chest. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's so sick. This is such a cool cape. So excellent in aesthetics, less excellent in terms of actionable crime fighting. Joker's outfits to me, like this is the definitive outfits. I love Heath Ledger's look. He pulls it off. It's kind of perfect for that version of the character. But when I think of Joker, it's got to be like over the top colors, bright, and yet they all match. You know, if you just wore that out, someone would be like you'd dress like the Joker because of the color palette.
Purple and
It
green.
looks
What are you
it
doing?
looks good. They look good. It looks cool as hell. There's a reason I went as Joker and not Batman for Halloween that year, which basically every 10-year-old boy was out there that Halloween. You were either Batman or Joker that Halloween. There was like,
You were Joker?
oh, I was Joker. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta see those pictures. Yeah.
I wish I could find them. I think they got to be somewhere. But yeah, I definitely went as Joker. I remember going to the thrift store with my mom to try to find. I had a picture cut out from a magazine. I'm like, got to find the purple jacket and the
Oh wow.
green shirt. Like I went all out. I love the Joker's costuming in this. I think he looks amazing. It's to me, it's the definitive Joker look.
Yeah, I feel like it's not too far removed from the Caesar Romero Joker in a way. They took a lot of the same inspiration from that character, and you look at something like Joker in the Batman the Animated Series, and it's very much derived from that same motif and color palette and everything like that. Like you said, Heath Ledger after that is kind of his own thing. It works well for that character, but this is a great version of this costume that has been redone in other versions as well, and it's as classic as Michael Keaton's Batsuit.
And now let's talk about Secret Identity. So, one of the interesting choices Michael Keaton himself made was I think Batman should talk at a lower register. I'm going to change my voice when I'm in Batman. That kind of basically became canon in all the film adaptations after that point. It was like you gotta do something different. And to the point it was even a little kind of embarrassing in some of them, depending. We'll talk about them later. I think it's subtle enough in this that it's a cool choice. I think that in the context of this movie, there is a 0% chance that Vicky Vale does not figure out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, like pretty much immediately, you know? Now, I do love that shot.
She's there in Gotham to figure out who he is.
Yeah.
That's her
And
whole
like,
point of being there.
exactly. I do love that she's in the Batmobile with him and she's like looking close to try to figure it out. And then he turns on this light and blows wind in her eyes. So she kind of has to look away. Like, that's such a clever little choice. I
Hmm.
love that. That being said, she 100% figured out that he was Batman. And if not, like, she has no business in journalism.
Well, also, it's not even really up to her because Alfred just brings her down into the Batcave completely uninvited.
All right, let's have this conversation now. Okay. This is maybe like the single biggest controversy of the film, right? Is like, why would Alfred let her into the Batcave? And I actually watching this movie, I'm like, you did the right thing, Alfred. You actually hashtag justice for Alfred, okay? Because here's the deal. He goes to Vicky's apartment to tell her he is Batman. He is there for that explicit purpose, Mike.
Yeah.
And he's literally seconds away from saying the words, so close, in fact, that when she gets up to answer the door, he says it, he mimes it to himself, like,
Right.
I'm going to say it right there. When she comes back, as soon as she comes back, I'm going to tell her. But of course, the Joker shows up, and so he's not able to. Now, being as close as he is with Alfred, and Alfred seeing their dynamic at play from the very beginning of their relationship, he knows that Bruce is like trying to let her know. And so, okay, she shows up at the house, and he either assumes Bruce told me he was going to tell you that he was Batman, so come on in, or B, she's like, is Bruce here? He's not. He's off doing something. And then she gives him kind of a look, and he's like, all right, come with me. Takes her down to the Batcave. I think hashtag justice for Alfred. This is a besmirchment on his good standing and name. He did nothing wrong at all.
It's not his place to give away Bruce's secret. He needs to allow Bruce the opportunity to do that himself.
Right. Which Bruce took, but then because Joker showed up, it screwed everything up. But
Okay.
he
Yeah, it
literally
was
probably was
interrupted.
like, Alfred, I'm going over to Vicky's. I'm going to tell her that I'm Batman. You
And
know,
then
like
and then he comes
Alfred
up.
knows his whole
I
schedule.
couldn't do it because I got interrupted. I'm gonna tell her again in my own time. And then no, he
No.
just does no. It's not up to him to reveal his secret. It's not only that, he blows up Bruce's spot a couple times. Like we talked about earlier. Oh, no, we're not going to be out of town. What are you talking about?
Okay.
We're this is not the first time that he has blown up.
That was a
Okay,
very bad fail on
but
Alfred's
think
part.
about
I will
this.
give him that.
If you're Alfred, Bruce has a history of, let's face it, womanizing and bringing home, women as a part of his image to be this billionaire playboy. Alfred should be very well practiced in. I'm not going to give anything away, but we'll see you next time. Here's some cab fare. Here's a ride home. What have you? It's like it's his first time covering for Bruce when Vicky's like going home. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. We'll be here all week. We'll see you next time. I'm gonna completely negate this lie that my employer is telling me. And then not only that, I'm gonna make the decision for him and blow up his spot again and bring Vicky down into the Batcave. Like, what are you doing, Alfred? The goal should be protecting Bruce's secret identity. And I know that you want what's best for Bruce and that you want him to be happy, but this is not the way to do it, man.
Strong disagree. Again, I think that Alfred knew that he wanted to tell the secret. And so he either assumed that he already had or knew that, oh, wait, it didn't come out, but he was going to anyway. So I might as well just let her down here and that's fine. With all that being said, I do think that that is the single worst scene in the movie. I think it's like the only actually bad scene in the movie. Vicky and him in the Batcave. Okay, so Vicky gets invited into the Batcave by Alfred, and she goes off about like, "Why won't you let me in? Why won't you let me in?" First of all, you are in. You are literally in the Batcave right now. So I don't understand what she's like. Why won't you let me in? Not only is she in, she is confused as to why he wouldn't tell her because he's freaking Batman. That's why he's keeping these secrets from you. It's not like you're ashamed about you're a bad driver. Like, why didn't you tell me like this benign lie? He's freaking Batman. That's why he won't let you in. Her dialogue there back and forth and that, I just found it really cringy. That was the one scene in the movie I was like, man, this is kind of a bad scene.
It's pretty
That
clunky.
being said, that scene ends with the iconic I got to do something. And then it's like the montage of him putting on the bat suit, grabbing the stuff out of the safe. Ah, that's so sick.
The
Just one
suit
of the
up scene,
sickest.
which would be duplicated in every Batman movie going forward, basically.
Exactly. One of the sickest scenes. So that kind of saves it, but I don't know. That scene isn't great. I'm glad that I have definitively quashed the idea that it was bad. All right, let's talk about secret layers. This Bat Cave is great. Vast, spacious. Love the entrance through the waterfall with the super quick moving garage door opener. I mean, God, that is amazing. It can open that fast with rock. That's astonishing. My one question, why are you parking it on the precipice of a cliff? Like, shouldn't you just have like a parking spot that you pull in that's normal? And like Vicky gets out and she almost plummets to her death, unbeknownst. I'm not really sure about the parking situation. Otherwise, sick, sick Batcave.
So you can see he's parking it on a rotating platform. You can tell that it's like there's some kind of circular thing that he pulls in one way, but when he's ready to leave, the platform will rotate the other way and allow him to come back the same way that he came in.
Great call. One other minor criticism: Joker's hideout way too bland. Literally just looks like closet or something, and like there's no style, there's no decoration for a guy who is so stylish. Everything's so important to him in terms of aesthetics. Very odd to me that they would
Well,
do that.
it's not his, it's Jack Palance's originally, right? It's this, which is kind of
Oh,
cool because he's got all these like the walls are painted with all these people and women and stuff on the background there, and it's pretty stylish as a office slash top floor condo for him to live and work out of, and that he just kills him and takes over. But
that's a good point.
he didn't really have time yet, I think, to adapt it and to redecorate it in his own style that he wants it to be in the purple and green.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, I'll accept that. Next category: good guy and bad guy. Our favorite and least favorite supporting characters. I'll kick it off. My favorite supporting character, it's Lieutenant Eckhart, our guy William Hootkins. I love him. Love him so much. He's kind of a perfect dirty cop in this movie. If you didn't listen to our Superman 4 episode, he also appeared in Superman 4. What, he was like a nuclear arms dealer
Yeah.
meeting with Lex Luthor. He was also Portkins in Star Wars. He was also in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Our guy William Hootkins, he burned bright and fast. He passed away 25 years ago. Rest in peace. I just love Eckhart in this movie. They clearly modeled the corrupt cop in the Batman animated series after him as well. He's
Yeah,
just so
Bullock.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so good in this part. He's really only in two scenes, but I'm going to give a shout out to Lieutenant Eckhart. Who's your favorite supporting character?
I mean, we've talked about him a bit already, but I think Michael Gaff as Alfred Pennyworth, he was so good that they brought him back three more times to reprise the same character, even though the rest of the cast changed around him. I don't know if I would say he's the definitive Alfred, but he probably is the definitive Alfred. And I think he's an amazing piece of supporting character or supporting cast.
Great shout out there. As far as the bad guy, our least favorite supporting character, I got to go with Lee Wallace as Mayor Borg. First of all, he's just clearly not the most powerful guy in the city, and you would assume that the mayor would have the power. And like Harvey Dent, Commissioner Gordon, these people are way more powerful than he is. And then we said it before, but like, why are you so obsessed with this 200th anniversary of Gotham being founded? I understand that's a big deal to you on the civic calendar, and the 200th anniversary is a big deal. But cancel the parade, bro. Cancel everything. I can't. I clocked it at least two different times. It's like we're still doing it. We're still going ahead,
Yeah,
and
he's
it's
the mayor
like
from Jaws, basically doing the same
he's the
thing. Yeah.
exactly the mayor from Jaws. What are you doing, Mayor Borg? You're terrible. First of all, no one is voting for Mayor Borg. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was his name until I looked it up. That is a terrible name. No one is trusting a guy named Mayor Borg. Now, we obviously learn in Batman Returns that there are some serious questions among the electorate in Gotham City as to who they would go for as far as their politicians. But I really struggled when I was thinking about this. I was like, it's got to be Mayor Borg. That guy's terrible. No disrespect to Lee Wallace. Shouts out to you. But yeah, Borg, that's my pick. Who you got?
I'm going Jerry Hall as the character Alicia, and I am going because of the acting performance and not the character performance because I don't know. I don't know if she's a model turned actress or what, but she's so cut and dry. It's like, Jack, where are you going, Jack? It's like, are you kidding me? This is the best that we could do. Like, okay, she's Rupert Murdoch's ex-wife, and who else did you say was she married to at
Mick
the time?
Jagger.
Mick
Mick
Jagger. There you
Jagger of
go.
the Rolling Stones, man.
So she's definitely trying to find her niche, amongst the glitterati, as it were. But I think that it was a pretty poor performance overall, and we could have easily recast her with someone better.
I totally agree. She's not great, and in fact, that leads perfectly into I've got questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately. Questions. Questions that need answering.
Too many questions. There's too many questions. There's just too many. I'll ask the questions.
So let's just piggyback on your last point, Mike. I think Joker is extremely regretful for ever doing anything with her. Like, he gets set up, as he says, over a woman, and then he disfigures this woman who then throws herself out of a window. He immediately pivots to Vicky Vale. Like, I think he looks back when he's dying, like on his plummet to death, and he's like, why did I ever mess with Alicia? What was I thinking? This was the most foolish thing of my life. Big regrets. I think he has serious doubts about his romantic choices. All right, I got a lot of questions here, Mike.
All
So
right, let's hear it.
I kind of alluded to it earlier, but it's really wild to me that he transforms from Jack Napier into the Joker, and immediately these henchmen have Joker branded jackets, Joker branded cars, Joker branded helicopter. They somehow have access to giant inflatable balloons. I mean, I'm probably missing like five or six things. He's got to have his own like factory, just making his own merch. It's wild how quickly they get branded merch in the hands of the henchmen and to complete his evil plans. I can't explain it. Like, I've got serious questions. How does this even work, Mike?
I don't have an answer to that, and that actually fits perfectly with my first question, which is that apparently they also have their own soundstage where they can record a professionally shot commercial for Joker products that have been poisoned with the Joker laughing gas. He's on a soundstage with like a shopping cart, Joker products. Okay, how did you get the money to pull this together for all these different shots? And like you're on a soundstage, like you're now on a beach soundstage
Totally.
with these models.
They had to
How-
rehearse it. There's no other way. He was like, all right, I know we're going to start getting these cosmetics out, but before we do any of that, we got to rehearse this because it's going to be a huge production on TV. So back to stage one or whatever, everyone. Let's
He's
do
got a
this again.
pre-production crew building sets. Multiples. There's at least three sets in that commercial.
It's incredible. All right. Going all the way back to the beginning. I'm sorry, dude. Your cab gets stolen from you. That was a tough beat. But then he's like, put down the map. We're going to look like tourists. He
Right?
knows that you're in a dangerous environment. And yet, let's go through this alley. There's a shortcut. You're in dangerous Gotham City. You know there's criminals everywhere. You're begging for the Batman, and yet you're just like, come with me, wife and small child. Let's go through this dangerous alley. I'm not saying he was asking for it, but you gotta be more street smart than that, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah,
What are
the
you
only thing
doing?
I have for that is that it's again, it's the fake out to make you think that it's the origin story for Bruce Wayne, but they needed to write it, to make you think that, and then it ends up not being that. But yeah, that guy is clearly an idiot.
All right, I gotta just piggyback on this point. When we meet Lieutenant Eckhart, he's talking with Knox. He's like, "Oh, Knox, what are you doing?" Blah blah blah. So he's talking to a journalist. He's like, "I gotta go." Walks through an alley
Yeah, like
to
10 feet
take
away.
a bribe. To take a bribe. Like, I got a business thing to attend to. He looks over his shoulder like, is Knox following me? You were literally just meeting with a member of the media, and now you're just gonna the alley that's adjacent to the one that you're standing in. You're just gonna take a bribe right in front. Like, Eckhart, come on, bro, come on. You got to be smarter than that, man. What's up with the alleys? That's just
All right, so my next one is why is Bruce such a dick to Vicky and maybe by extension all women in general? Because as we said, he gets her drunk. He is not drunk. He sleeps with her. And then he lies to her the next morning about what he's doing with his plans. And basically is like, here's some cab fare. Get out of my house. When he goes to visit her in her apartment, he pushes her in the chest down into a chair and tells her, right now, you need to shut up and listen. Like, that's a huge red flag for any potential relationship.
yeah.
And also on top of all that, she takes pictures and stuffs the film into her bra. He then gasses her and presumably has to fish around in her bra to get this film. And then she wakes up, later the next day in her apartment. She's like, "Oh God, he took the film." So he is very much like okay with either getting her drunk, knocking her unconscious, and then taking advantage of her multiple times throughout this movie.
I had that one on my list too. He's like, there's one more thing. And he lifts his cape and then it cuts to her the next morning, which again implies that he knocked her unconscious somehow, fished around in her bra to get the film, dropped her off while she was still unconscious. So maybe he had to gas her twice. Like that's a presumably like a decent ride home. Like, yeah, I had that one too. It's just like, wow, okay. But yeah, the broader question stands. That's a very good point. Are we sure this surgeon is is really good? Because he
No.
shows you, oh, look at the instruments I had to work with. And it's like a saw and like a weird clamp. Why don't you just have surgical instruments? Why are you limited? I can understand you're doing this off the books and maybe you don't have anesthesia, those kinds of things. You should at least have scalpels and proper surgical instruments. That is just kind of bizarre to me.
That guy gave me very Peter Stormare in Minority Report vibes. I don't know if you remember that
Oh
scene.
yes. Let's go. That's exactly right. 100%. All right, I just got a couple more. What do you got?
Going back to Vicky for a moment, I don't know if you noticed, but why does she have all these extremely creepy dolls scattered around her apartment? Everything is
I
like
didn't notice.
super creepy. She has one teddy bear on her bed, which is fine, but then there's like dolls with just the blackest eyes that look like they're part of the Conjuring universe just scattered around her mantelpiece.
Yeah, that's definitely strange. There's a lot of doll kind of stuff in this movie, so maybe they just wanted to keep with that aesthetics theme. But yeah, that's a good point. Why does Bruce Wayne sleep upside down? How, in any possible way, is that helping his Batman training? That's how bats sleep. Bats are bats. Like, I understand that there is a whole thing in this movie about he's trying to kind of blur the line between human and bat or something and strike fear, but you don't have to sleep upside down. You're going to basically die. I would assume that you would die if you hung upside down to sleep. The blood would, over the course of 8 hours, like flood to your brain. Why?
I don't know. I know that that's like a thing where you can hang inverted for like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, but sleeping upside down, like that's not healthy in any way. Maybe this is because I was still hanging on to the stigma that Batman doesn't kill, but if Batman doesn't kill, why are there machine guns and bombs built into both the Batmobile and the Batwing? Like you said, he locks on to the Joker and tries to fire both machine guns at him.
Yeah.
And like clearly he's trying to murder him in this moment.
Yeah.
And all I can think is that just they hadn't established that rule with him yet in the movies. I don't know at what point that's established in the comics that he doesn't kill, but
Yeah, it's just not part of these Batmans. The next movie in particular, he just straps the dynamite to the guy and throws him off a bridge. It's like this Batman kills. We'll just go with that. All right. So the TV segment, these two models walking the runway died of mysterious circumstances, but they're smiling. Now they're showing an image of these women on the news, which
I'm so glad
means
you brought this up.
we're looking at dead bodies. We're looking at their dead bodies.
No, but
When they
they're
show
standing up.
them, I
They're
mean,
they're clearly
no,
standing up.
I mean, I guess maybe this was like the last photograph taken before they collapsed to the ground. You're showing dead bodies, like, and you don't show dead bodies on the news. I mean, or people about, about to die or whatever. Like, I just could not believe that they're gonna just casually. It's a great visual pun. Like, it's really fun. It's genuinely funny, but it is also, like I said, it raises dubious questions. What's going on there? What's the news standards in Gotham City?
I can't tell you. Like I said, I'm really glad that you called this out because that was definitely a question that I had. Where do they get this photo of these two women? How is it that Joker's capable of taking down the Batwing in one bullet of the handgun that has the extended, silly,
Comically long.
yeah,
Yeah.
silly strong barrel? We've already established that Batman has vehicles that can take bullets. with his Batmobile and like even
Mm.
has extra shielding and things like that. But is it just because this gun has a really long barrel that it can make it more powerful? That's not how guns work. But
Also raises questions about like, so you just had a long gun going from your crotch all the way down your leg the whole time you're out there dancing around and
oh, but
like
he can collapse it, which he
I
shows later.
they
So
do show it gets collapsed, but like when he pulls it out, at some point he extended it. So maybe it was when Batman was flying above the clouds, he like pulled it out, put it back in his pants, then pulled it out again or
that's
something.
too
I don't know.
much. That's
Yeah,
too
it's just
much.
it's too much.
Why doesn't Batman use his grappling hook to get to the top of the church? He's
Great question.
he's
Great
running
question.
up the stairs behind them and just
Yeah.
picking up her shoes that have fallen on the stairs. You have a grappling hook, bro. We've seen you use it multiple times.
Yeah.
Get up there quicker.
Preach it.
We don't need this.
Let's go.
And then when he gets up to the top of the stairs, he fights a goon that has what does he have? Swords or something?
Hmm.
And as
Well,
he's
he has like sword, they're like knives coming out of his boots.
yeah, that's right. Okay. And then as he's attacking him, Batman activates some kind of weird device on his hand that he pushes him with or something. And
Didn't
I had
understand that kill.
no
Yeah.
idea what was happening in that moment.
Yeah, I
So,
didn't actually include him in the kill list. I think he just jammed the knives back into his legs and he just fell unconscious because of the pain. Like that was my assumption, but yeah, that was kind of weird. It's like what's going on
but then the
there?
next guy that he fights, we forgot this guy. This dude that he's wearing sunglasses, by the way, at the top of the tower at night.
Yeah.
He throws him down the shaft where the bell had come down. So that guy is also part of the casualty list. I think we
Oh, for
forgot about
sure.
him. So 51 is the casualty count.
No, yeah, he was he was included in the
Oh,
count.
he's included.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
But then
included.
my last question, as Batman and Vicky are hanging from the side of the cathedral, he uses his grappling hook finally and shoots it, and it somehow wraps around the gargoyle and around the Joker's leg at the same time. Like that seems to defy the laws of physics to me. Like what is
There
happening here?
Yeah, so actually I thought that too, but I think what that is like kind of like a bolo where it's like
Okay.
yeah, it's like a bat bolo where it goes around the guy's leg and then loops and detaches from that. I don't really know how he has that kind of weapon, but like that's yeah, that was kind of my take. So,
Well, if we're embracing his ninja tutelage, then that would make sense. But
yeah. Next category, what's it really all about? And my favorite category, Mike. Let me tell you, to me on rewatch, I think the theme is really clearly the interconnected yin and yang of good and evil. As I mentioned before, the change to make Jack Napier the Wayne's murderer instead of the incredibly poorly named character Joe Chill is an excellent adaptive choice because it makes this theme explicit. Jack makes Batman, Batman makes the Joker. It also narratively binds their fates together, which is something that the comics often explore, their need for one another. Also, both characters have dual personas. There's Jack Napier, who even, as we mentioned, had to put on makeup to try to look human, and Bruce Wayne doubling as Batman. Burton described their dynamic as, quote, a complete duel of the freaks. It's a fight between two disturbed people, end quote. I think that's really clearly what he was interested in as a filmmaker, the dual nature not only of their individual personalities, but their intertwined nature as well as characters. I think clearly Batman and Joker is the most compelling hero villain dynamic in all of superhero film history. And it really hit me rewatching this that another big part of their appeal is the inversion of the themes. The good guy is dressed as a scary animal while the villain is dressed as a clown. This is a total opposite of what you would expect from the hero villain dynamic. And I think it's a big part of what makes both of them, from an iconic graphic standpoint, that's really what makes their characters so appealing. It's the opposite of what you would expect from the hero villain dynamic. Mike, what were your takeaways from what this film is really about?
Yeah, pretty similar. The way that I would have worded it as I was thinking about it was that it's about the monsters we make. It's as you talked about, Bruce makes the Joker, and that's something that's explored throughout multiple different versions of Batman. I know there's a very specific Batman the Animated Series episode where Batman is put on trial by the villains, and they basically all argue that we wouldn't be who we were if Batman didn't make us who we are. And this film explores that, but it also explores I am who I am because of you, but you are who you are because of me. And so, yeah, having that yin and yang dynamic is a good way to put it, I think.
All right, and now it's time for our final verdict. Mike, I've alluded to this earlier. I can't really judge this movie on its own merits. It's such a significant film in my own life. Obviously, I consider it a classic of the highest order. Like, this is like the highest tier of superhero films. I think a lot of the times as a writer, one of the things I think about in terms of where do we place things would be Mount Rushmore, right? If you could only pick four, would this be on there? Not sure. I can't quite go that level. For me personally, it's just one of the most important movies of all time. I know I've seen this movie more than any other movie ever. I've probably watched this movie realistically. I've probably watched this movie like 30 times in my life. I've seen it so much. Yeah, it's just one of my favorite films of all time. I am 100% going classic. As someone who has a little bit of distance from this, I'm very curious to hear what your final verdict is.
This is probably the most that I've enjoyed it while watching it. And I think that has to do in part with watching all of the Superman movies leading up to this. It kind of gave me perspective as to what the audience during the 70s and the 80s had to experience before experiencing something like this. And so I think having that perspective really made things more interesting for me and more enjoyable for me. But I can't think about Batman without thinking about what comes after it because there's so many great things that come after this movie that I would say it does better. I think that this is not the best version of Batman, and this is not the best version of the Joker. It's not the best version of Gotham City. It's not the best version of the Batmobile. I think that there's so many things that come after this that are inspired by this movie, yes, but improve upon it in so many different ways. It's hard for me to put it in classic, but it's easy for me to put it into great. So I'm kind of on the fence between that great and classic line there. Having talked to you about it for the last couple hours here, it's easy for me to tip that line in the fence and put it into the classic category. So I think you'll be happy to hear me say this is a classic movie.
Let's go, Mike. I love it. I'm not trying to pressure you, and I think part of what we're trying to explore, even though we've had a lot of consensus thus far, is different opinions. It's okay to have different opinions. I think that's one of the most toxic things about superhero fandom specifically is that people tend to take like personal offense to people that have differing opinions from them around superhero
Right.
films, and like
Right.
that's dumb and stupid. And so if you want to go with great, that's fine, but again, I think like just after discussing this movie and everything with it, I obviously put it into classic. But one
I
other
mean, the,
thing I
the
thought
Prince soundtrack alone knocks it into classic, I think. So,
one other thing I thought might be interesting to discuss would be where this sits on Rotten Tomatoes and Letterboxd, and if they should be higher or lower. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it says 77%, which is like kind of surprisingly low for me. And on Letterboxd, it's at 3.6.
hmm.
To me, both of these are obviously very low. Do you think they should be higher?
I think I'd go a little higher. I'd go like 87%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. Letterbox maybe like 4.2, 4.3, something like that. I know I just said classic, which, implies 5 out of 5,
It's a hard
basically.
five,
But
bro.
yeah, I know. But
It's okay. Like, but just this is like, because that's the thing with Rotten Tomatoes is not like it scored a 77 out of a 100. It's more that 77% of critics said it was good. It's
right.
just surprising to me then that 23% of critics were like, it's not good. Like, that's really surprising to me. Letterboxd, I think, is again, I think that platform skews younger. And to your point, I think it's easy for younger generations to look at this as being kind of a relic. And I totally can appreciate that because, again, like my own personal experience is so tied into my enjoyment of this film. But yeah, I think both of those should be significantly higher personally. And now it's time for our comic and film recommendations, our last segment of the show. This is where we recommend a comic and movie connected to the film. Mike, why don't you kick us off with your comic recommendation?
For my comic rec, I'm going with a comic called Batman White Knights. I don't know if you've heard of this one or not. It was in 2017 that this came out, written and illustrated by the same guy. His name is Sean Murphy, and he did a trilogy, the White Knight trilogy. But the reason why I'm recommending this is because the basic synopsis of part one is that the Joker decides to take his rehabilitation seriously. And so he fully embraces medication and therapy. And through these things, his Joker persona is basically eliminated. And so he embraces his true persona of Jack Napier. And this is the only other instance that I can think of where we see in the comics that the Joker goes by his name of Jack Napier. I think there's maybe a Red Hood comic where they talk about that maybe one other time. But having him go back to his Jack Napier persona was really interesting in this comic, and it's a trilogy. They call it the Murphy verse because again, Sean Murphy wrote this in 2017 and illustrated it himself. It's the illustrations in this are amazing. I love all three comics that come through this trilogy. They bring in everything that you can imagine from the Batman universe. Batman's in it, Robin's in it, all three Robins are in it. Batgirl is in it. Terry McGinnis from the Batman Beyond series, he makes an appearance in this as well. And it's just an amazing storyline that kind of came out of nowhere as an original storytelling device for Batman and for the Joker here. So that's my recommendation for comic.
That's
Let me
great.
go.
I've never read that. That sounds really cool. I'll have to check it out.
I'll let you borrow it. I've got it in physical.
Yeah, that sounds great. I would also say, and I haven't read this one either, but Sam Hamm actually did two different series called Batman 89. And those basically pick up from the stories that were set out in the two Tim Burton Batman films and kind of pick up. I know the first one is kind of about Harvey Dent, which, they were planting the seeds obviously in this one and it just never really paid off. They recast with Tommy Lee Jones and Batman Forever, but I think that was going to be part of the longer term plans for the series. And I know he's a big character in there. And I think the second one takes off after the events of that and then starts to introduce like Batgirl and other sort of supporting characters. So I definitely need to check that out. But my recommendation is the comic that inspired Tim Burton to actually make this film, which is The Killing Joke by Alan Moore and Brian Boland. This is an extremely dark and adult take on the character of the Joker. It actually canonically kind of establishes his origin story as an aspiring comedian and someone who is just kind of a working class guy down on his luck whose wife and child are killed, I believe, in like a fire, just kind of a domestic accident, and how it sort of leads him to becoming insane and the character that we know. So this is a really dark and morbid comic that I read when I was way too young to probably be able to appreciate the material. It's been a while since I've read it, but this was a really powerful book on me. It was certainly one of the first comics I read. It also, interestingly, I didn't realize this, established a lot of canonical elements in the DC universe specifically. This is the comic where the Joker kidnaps Barbara Gordon and shoots her, paralyzing her. Now, moving forward in the DC universe, Barbara Gordon was indeed paralyzed and becomes eventually the Oracle. She's sort of the woman in the chair and an important figure in the entire DC universe, not just for Batman, but a bunch of DC characters. I also think Boland's art is just incredible on this. And there's kind of almost a photorealistic quality to the way he draws the Joker. It just looks great. It's an incredibly dark adult. There's a film version, which was the first R-rated DC animated film to come out. Really great, powerful stuff. Generally considered one of the greatest comics of all time. Certainly, if you're a comics fan, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But if you have not read it, you should absolutely check out The Killing Joke. As far as movies, there's so many ways to go here, right, Mike? We could recommend Nicholson movies. We could recommend, Michael Keaton movies, Tim Burton movies. I'm going to go with the latter. I got to just take it all the way back to the origins and recommend Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This was Tim Burton's first film. I was 6 years old when this movie came out. I mean, this was like a really massive, massive movie of my childhood. I rewatched it just a couple months ago. It absolutely holds up. Pee Wee Herman, as portrayed by Paul Rubens, just an iconic character in pop culture for those of us of a certain age. True iconoclastic, singular figure in children's humor and just all of humor, really, in comedy. Also, I felt helped establish just one of the signature themes of all of Tim Burton's films, which is unapologetic outsiders who are misunderstood and often ostracized by society. There's some of those themes in this Batman film, and they carry over into movies like Edward Scissorhands, Ed Wood, a lot of Tim Burton movies, honestly. Johnny Depp kind of made his old living on this, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, there's just so many movies that touch on this specific theme of someone who's just kind of seen as a weirdo by everyone else, but who just is trying to live his life, is a good-hearted person, doesn't really care that people are looking at him in kind of askance. The new documentary on Paul Rubens, Pee-wee as himself, is excellent. I couldn't recommend it enough. I thought it provided really great insights into the actor behind the character of Pee Wee Herman, someone who we kind of, in our minds, like a lot of us, I think, associate like he's just Pee Wee Herman, but he's not. That was very much a character that he created.
Yeah.
And co-written by the great SNL legend Phil Hartman. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, just a delightful film in every possible way. Still very funny, holds up great, and that's my recommendation. What do you got?
My recommendation is a little known film called The Departed, and I'm going because of the Jack Nicholson recommendation here. Of course, I just watched this movie again within the last few days. It's something that I revisit probably every year just because it's so much fun to hang out with these characters. It's a great hangout movie, but a stellar all-star cast: Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg, Jack Nicholson, Matt Damon, Martin Sheen, directed by Scorsese, Alec Baldwin's in it. Like, come on, man. This is just, there's so many great people in this movie. Everybody is just having so much fun in it. And it won Best Picture in 2006. And well, I just can't say enough good things about this movie. I know that a lot of people have problems with the very, very last final shot. You don't know about this? There's petitions to remove the rat from the ending, but
No way, man.
No, it's perfectly fine. This movie is 2 hours and 31 minutes long, and it feels like it's maybe an hour and a half just because of how amazing everyone is in it. You can just sit there and watch them forever. And last time I watched it, before the most recent one, was on St. Patrick's Day with my brother-in-law, and we had a great time drinking Guinness and whiskey and watching The Departed, and I think that was an amazing experience. The Departed, 2006 Best Picture winner. That's my rec.
Let's go. Great film. Absolutely love it. Another 5-star masterpiece from noted superhero film enthusiast Martin Scorsese. Guy,
Something like that.
he's all about it. I know there's a lot of rumors, but
I really thought too that Jack is kind of playing a similar kind of psychopathic character in this one. He's having a lot of fun. You know, he's laughing a lot. He's smiling a lot in this one. It's very similar character to the Joker, if the Joker was more realistic, mob boss, grounded in reality, but still a psychopathic killer. And he's great in those types of roles.
yeah, it's one of my favorite Scorsese's for sure. It's so good. Great recommendation. Well, that brings us to the end of an epic supersized intro to our Batman series. Thank you so much for sticking with us through all of this. We really hope you enjoyed it. I know I had a blast, Mike.
Ooh, this has been fun. It's been a long one, but it was great to go through this, and it was great to revisit.
We'll be back next week with the next entry in the Batman series, Batman Returns 1992. Mike, I got a lot of thoughts on this one. If you thought Captain Hot Take was here on Batman, just wait till Batman Returns. I'm gonna be coming out there just firing bullets. Cannot wait. Super excited to talk about it and rewatch it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. I love that one.
Rewatch it with us before and come back next week for another exciting edition of Superhero Cinema Club.
Superhero Cinema Club is hosted by Mark Schiff and me, Mike Carnes. Produced by Mark Schiff. Editing by Mike Carnes. Original music provided by Chris Carnes. Find him on Spotify. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us at Superhero Cinema Club, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review. Join us next time as we dive into another epic adventure from the world of superhero cinema.